master the faculties of your mind. How to master the faculties of your mind. To master faculties. Unstable. In the same way, in the church, you can be declared as mentally unstable. What is the meaning of mentally unstable within the domain of humans? Among humans, there is a way that we expect people to behave. And when people find it difficult to behave that way, most of the time we say they have mental health problems, as I said last week. And often we advise them to go to see the specialist to help them. Which means we expect people to behave within certain framework. When they are outside of framework, we suspect there's something wrong. In the same way, when you come to the church, there's a way that God expects you to behave. And if you don't find yourself in that situation or that circumstance, if you don't find yourself behaving the way that God wants you to behave, it means there's something wrong and that you need help. So the issue of mental health is not only outside the church, it's also in the church. And we went ahead to define what the mind is to start. And we said the mind refers to the collection of the aspect of intellect, consciousness, thought, perception, memories, imagination. And we say it compasses both the conscious, unconscious, and even subconscious that enable reasoning, judgment, subjective experience. So the mind is like, let me use this to explain so you understand. The mind is something like a university. When you enter into a university, we have what we have called schools. So we have the School of Medical Science. We have the School of Engineering. We may have the School of the Built Environment. So the mind is a school within the university. The university have a school, and the school is the mind. And within the schools, we have faculties. So for instance, if you take the Department of Engineering, we have the Faculty of Structural Engineer, maybe the Faculty of Electrical, but they are all considered as engineering. So when you take the mind, some of the faculties of the mind are intellect, consciousness, thought, perception, memory, imagination, consciousness, unconsciousness, and what? And subconscious. So when you enter into the school of the mind, these are the departments that you find. And each of these departments have what they learn. And among all these departments, there's something which is common to all. They all teach through information. They teach people using information. I hear this. So when you go to the school of engineering, maybe it's electrical engineering, you sit in the lecture theater and you are taught engineering, everyone who came to teach you give you something called information. After spending 4 years listening to information and using the information to do practicals, you are certified as what? As an engineer. In fact, as a matter of fact, all that you went to school to learn is information. And when you now get employed as an engineer, whenever you go to your post and you begin to profess that ability, you draw back from the information that you learned from school. Are you getting me? You draw back from the information that you learned. So you became engineer through a collection of information that you received from the faculty of either structural engineer or electrical engineer. So when we take the mind, let's go recap. The mind has got the faculty of intellect, consciousness, thought, perception, memory, imagination. Of course, you can even go to unconscious and subconscious and look at what you're using it for. Look at what you use it for. You use this thing to enable you reason, make good judgment, and make subjective judgment. You use this faculty to help you. You use this faculty, the information you receive from these faculties, it helps you to be able to reason. It also helps you to be able to judge. And it also helps you to be able to have a subjective experiences. So it means the way a person think, reason, or make judgment in life is based on the information that he has got in his mind. The information that every faculty within the mind give to that person. So it is you see, our actions is a product of what we have stored in the faculty of our mind. So if you really want to change a person to enhance the way he thinks and the way that he makes good judgment, you have to go back to the faculty. You see, in university we call it recurricularization, where they sit down and take a faculty and look at the subject they're teaching. If they realize the subject is outmoded and irrelevant, they go back and look at international precedents and look at what other people do, is that they adopt it and fade away the old ones. So what happens is they begin to conform to the new knowledge that they are giving them. In the educational fraternity, we call it recurricularization. And we do it. For instance, many schools are now beginning to change their engineering models because of AI. So they are adopting, fading away the old engineering information, bringing in something new. It's the same as human being. A human being never changes until the information in the faculties of the mind changes. All right. So we have established that what makes a faculty is the information in. It's the information. If you mistakenly, if you want to be a doctor and you mistakenly find yourself in the school of architecture and you stay there for 5 years, you will end up becoming architecture or an architect because of the information that you have. So information is able to make somebody an architect. Information is able to make somebody electrical engineer. That talks about the power of information. Information is powerful. Information is so strong. It is powerful. That you know another word for information is word W-O-R-D. At this juncture, I will halt and begin to explain a concept for you to understand. Information is very powerful. Let me talk a little bit of what we call shape shifting. Shape shifting. It is a very popular concept which is being used within the occultic world. But it's unfortunate Christians have allowed occult to take everything. And when you mention it in church, people think you are occult. Let's talk about shape shifting. Because we are talking about the mind. And we say the mind has faculties. And these faculties have what? Information. Follow me very careful. Now, what is shape shifting? The concept of shape shifting is very fascinating. And it is most of the time carved around mythology, like stories, all right, or folk tales most of the time, and sometimes around religion, and currently in science fiction, where you see somebody will be there and the person will just change. The interesting thing is that even in modern science, it's a subject which is being speculated that people can shift. If you look at your Facebook and your TikTok, sometimes people do it, they just take a clip and they show somebody whose eyes will change. It's the person that's changed to become an alligator, or he has become a reptile. Are these things true? But shape shifting refers to the ability of being, number one, a deity, an animal, or other things being transformed physically to another shape. And when they change with that shape, they often retain some or all of the original form that they were. Let me explain again to you. I'm saying that shape shifting refers to the ability of a being, whether human, deity, animal, or any entity, to transform its physical form into another shape, often retaining some or all of the original consciousness and ability. So basically, shape shifting is ability for a being to change. So for instance, I will be here and I will change, I will become air. I can change and I become a dog. I can change and I can become a rat. Do you know many religions in this world believe in shifting? Isn't it so? Even among the Africans, they believe that if you're a good ancestor, if you're a good man, when you die, you become ancestor. Isn't it so? Now, among the Hindu, they also believe that if you are good and you die and you come back maybe as a rich man. The Hindus also believe that when you are a bad guy, and you die, you come back as a dog, and they will hit you. You sleep outside. Hello? And in most of our African folk tales and mythology, we say it. Now, to even maybe make you understand more, I'll give you some few things. For instance, in the Norse mythology, the trickster god, who is called Loki, they believe he can change in the form of an animal to be able to deceive people. Not only that, if you look at the Greek and Roman mythology believe that Zeus and Jupiter can transform themselves into animals to seduce human beings, mortals. So it's something which is among human. One thing you must know is that you can't conceive what is not real. Whatever is real is what can be conceived. So we are talking about information, and quickly I shifted to shape shifting, saying that we believe that they can be shifting, that a being can be able to change its form to be able to seduce. Here we are being told that in the Greek and Roman mythology, Zeus and Jupiter, they believe have the power to transform into animals. Why? To be able to seduce mortals. And we are saying that in the Norse mythology, we also have trickster, one god called Loki, Lucky could change into animal to seduce others. So shape shifting in itself is a way that things or beings change their form so they can be able to conform into a likeness that can seduce people to accept them. Follow me very carefully. Are you with me? Now, the information that the mind needs to be able to help you draw, to make decisions, we call it information. But how does it change from processes to become information that enter into your mind? That's where we are going. I want to read a simple scripture. I hope I'm doing justice to this. Okay, where do you have information? In your what? How did it enter into your mind? Okay. Some say thoughts, words. Tell me again. Images. Okay. Now hold on. The book of John 1:14 says something. It says, Jesus says, the word, and the word was made flesh. The word of God was made what? Flesh, and dwell among us, and we behold his glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace. Now I'm saying something here which is very strange. The word of God which was in heaven, which is what the word, Bible says the word became flesh. Does it mean Jesus, who is the word, shape shift, and he became what? The word. He shift from the word to become what? A man. And when he came as a man, he was called Jesus. But originally he was what? The word. Does it mean shifting as a concept exists in the Christian fraternity? So it means spirits can take a form of a word. Spirits can take the form of a word. Okay, let's take another one. Jesus, who was the word, wanted men to understand him. But if he come as the word, men will find it difficult to understand him. So we have to shift to take the form of a man. For Bible says, as much as the daughters, the sons, had body, he also have to partake of the same flesh, so that through death he will what? Overcome who have power of what? Over death. So spirits always use objects that